Today is International Day for Persons with Disabilities. It is a globally recognized day dedicated to promoting the rights and well-being of persons with disabilities. The day highlights the importance of inclusivity, accessibility, and equal opportunities for individuals with disabilities, while also celebrating their achievements and contributions in the society. This year, the United Nations carefully chose a theme, United in Action, to rescue and achieve the SDGs for, with, and by persons with disabilities. This it considers as an urgent call to intensify efforts in meeting several sustainable development goals for persons with disabilities. This edition of Frontline, Breaking Barriers, Celebrating Ability in Disabilities, is dedicated to all the people living with one form of disability or the other, and those who support them to become the best of what they aspire to be. Good afternoon. I am Jude Abugu, and in our first segment of today's discussion, we have a visually impaired person, Mr. Ambrose Aifuwa, who against all odds is striving to carve a niche for himself in the academic field. Mr. Aifuwa, you are welcome to Frontline.
Thank you very much, sir, for having me.
Today is the day for all the people living with disability, and we first of all want to know what it has been like for you and others that have one form of disabilities to the other, living and mingling with others in the society. What has it been like?
Well, it hasn't been a very smooth ride. It's been filled with some challenges, and of course, but despite the obvious challenges, we as people with disabilities, we've been able to also coexist with our able-bodied counterparts in the society. So, but for me personally, it's been a very, very harrowing and challenging experience as one who is living with vision impairment. My vision impairment wasn't as a result of birth. It wasn't a congenital challenge. It was accidental. So for the past over a decade now, I've been living with this challenge. But despite the obvious limitations and encumbrances that it poses, I've been able to defy all odds, and here I am today. So I'm very, very grateful to be here.
All right, United Nations has, marked this particular day, December 3, to celebrate all the people living with disabilities all over the world. How do you feel about this special day for people like you?
Well, it is very, very interesting. It is heartwarming that a day like this is being designated or earmarked to celebrate people who are living with one form of disabilities or the other, and also to highlight their challenges. It's really heartwarming for me because it is a day that seeks to promote and heighten the awareness. Also promotes advocacy so as for there to be an inclusive, accessible, and equitable world for persons with disabilities. So for me, it is exhilarating. It is heartwarming for me that a day is set aside, for people like us to be celebrated, while we project our challenges to the government, to the society, for possible way out or solution.
You talked about inclusivity and accessibility for persons living with disabilities.
Yes.
In your own opinion and assessment, how inclusive and accessible has Nigeria been to people with disabilities?
Well, thank you very much. Well, for me, in all honesty, it leaves a lot to be desired when it talks about like inclusivity and accessibility for persons with disability. I think the level of inclusion and accessibility in Nigeria is still at its abysmal stage. But even though there is an act, it is like a discrimination against persons with disability prohibition act of 2018 as assented to by the immediate past president. But that is still a far cry. Even most states in Nigeria are yet to even domesticate, let alone implement the letters of those very very noble and interesting acts. Because that act also specifically prescribed 5% of job slots for persons with disabilities, and of course education wise. But the issue we are still faced with as people with disabilities is that the implementation, the enforcement of such an act or such a law. Thankfully, in our state here, those states, it has been assented to, but we are waiting His Excellency to put machinery in motion by constituting a commission or a board that we specifically cater to the peculiarities and uniqueness in terms of the needs of persons with disabilities. I'm very, very heartful, but the implementation is still very, very low and it leaves a lot to be desired.
All right, let's get a bit personal about you now. Can you tell us what you are currently engaged in and what you have been able to achieve over the years?
Well, thank you very much. Well, despite my visual challenge, I've been able to aspire for education. Thankfully, I'm a graduate. I studied political science from Ambrose Ali University, Eboma, Edo State. I graduated 4 years ago. But interestingly, for the past 4 years, I've been in search for a job. Like, I need to be productive. I need to be engaged meaningfully. But so far, that hasn't come true just yet. But I'm still very resolute to take my education aspiration higher. Hence, I've applied to do a master's program from the prestigious University of Benin, majoring in international relations and diplomacy. So far, that's the level we are now. Thank you.
I know going through the first degree couldn't have been easy, just like you're about to go to your next academic pursuit. Can you tell us what it was like? Going to lectures, doing assignment. What was it like generally for you to skate through the first degree?
Wow, thank you. It wasn't really really easy. I must say it was quite tedious, especially at the preliminary or at the initial stage of getting to the university. Of course, first was the issue of funding, because to educate somebody with vision impairment, it's quite intensive. In terms of the funds required, I think it would take like twice or like tries to educate a non-person with disability just to educate somebody with a disability. So the issue I faced with first was funding to pay my tuition and acceptance and all that, and also attending lectures. Initially, it was a brick wall. It was quite, difficult for me. But as time progresses, as time went by, I met some classmates who were very, very, helpful, and they all came through for me in terms of assignments and all that. So it was really kind of easy for me in the long run. But at the initial stage, it was quite difficult, as well as the various equipments we use as persons with disabilities. We have a customized or unique set of laptop system or other gadgets that will make learning easy and make it a bit inclusive for us. So that's it.
Now you're about to commence your postgraduate study in international relations.
Yes.
How are you preparing to cope with the challenges that will come with this further education?
Well, of course, I am not unaware of the challenges that lie ahead, but like drawing strength or courage from my initial experience in my undergraduate days, I think I can still weather the storm at this my postgraduate level. Like, even though it's not going to be easy, but I feel that if I was able to navigate my way around back then, in my undergraduate days or years, I will still be able to also successfully prosecute this my postgraduate programs, all things being equal and in the name of God.
But are there currently some setbacks you are encountering now that you're about to go for your master's degree?
Affirmatively, obviously, yeah, there are. Chief among them is funding, finance. That is the major area that I'm actually encountering a challenge. So I For now, I'm just hoping, I'm just being optimistic that funding will come through and that we get support and help from individuals or organizations as well as governments. They can also come through for me, So, but for now, funding and also specialized equipment that will facilitate learning and studying generally for me. So, my major challenges now are funding and of course the specialized equipment, that will make learning easy and and stressless.
All
Yes.
right. Why the choice of international relations? Why did you go to international relations in your master's degree level? Why international relations?
Because I haven't carefully perused and gone through the various subfields of political science. I found international relations and diplomacy as one that resonates very well with me, because for me, somebody that is well fast, knowledge-wise, I want to be, acquainted and conversant with global affairs, vis-a-vis how it impacts positively or negatively on my immediate environment and my country at large. And if there are things, ideas that can be borrowed from other countries, which can be replicated here to make the society more inclusive and equitable as well as accessible for persons with disabilities and also to the general public. So for me, being an adept, an avid listener to to global events and issues, so, studying a course in my postgraduate program in international relations and diplomacy will further deepen my horizon and knowledge in terms of global affairs and international matters and how it impacts on my immediate country.
Okay, before we let you go, can you tell us how you have been encouraging other people with disabilities to attain the heights you have currently reached and even aspiring to get to?
Of course, yeah. There are persons with disabilities all around, and of course, seeing me as one of them who, despite all the odds, the palpable challenges and all that, I was able to navigate my way around. Me living here, like I serve as a beacon of hope and motivation to the younger generations of persons with disabilities. So on my own part, I've been out there. I also belong to the network of persons with visible disabilities, NAVID. So in that platform, we've been doing a lot, creating and heightening campaigns and advocacies, so as for the governments and the society at large to mainstream and include us in their scheme of things in terms of legislation and policy. So in that platform, like as NAVID, I've been playing my part, actually trying to create the awareness to persons with disability that the fact that you are living with one form of disability or the other shouldn't mean that your destiny has been truncated. No, you can still, despite the obvious challenges or limitations, you can still strive for excellence, you can strive to be the best. So I've been doing that just to give a sense of hope and motivation to the younger ones so that they will not feel despair or despondent in view of their
All right.
situation.
Thank you, Mr. Ambrose Ifoa, for making it to Frontline this afternoon. And we also want to thank you for all you have been doing in the society and for persons living with disabilities. We wish you all the best in your endeavor.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We
It's
will
my
now
pleasure.
take a short break. When we return, we will introduce our next guest on this edition of Frontline. Don't go away. All right, glad to know that you are still there. Time to introduce our second guest for today's episode of Frontline. Our second guest is someone who has been supporting persons with disabilities to acquire technical skills in areas of ICT and other areas that are currently trending now. I'm talking about Oyoma Ojadono. He's the governor, Executive Council, Ignite Startups Center, LSD, here in Benin City. Mr. Oyoma Ojadono, you are welcome to Frontline.
Thank you very much, sir. I'm grateful.
All right. Let's first of all look at the theme of this year's International Day for Persons Living with Disability. It says, United in Action to Rescue and Achieve the SDGs for, with, and by persons with disabilities. How do you see this theme?
Well, I think it's a very crucial theme that really meets the current need that what we actually need at this time, right? When I look at that theme very well, it said for, with, and by persons with disabilities. So that's all encompassing, right? We are looking at our united efforts, our united responsibilities for them, not just for them, with them. So they are also part of it. I want to appreciate you first for this program. And you see what we are doing now, it's a pure replica, an exemplary of this team, for having somebody with disabilities who was earlier here before me, right? To inspire, to talk, and also to encourage others who are out there facing similar challenges or who are also physically disabled. So I think it's very, very important. It calls for a national interest. It wakens a national conscience, right? So that we can all be awakened and look at these very, very important persons within our midst. Thank you very much.
All right. I know society has a lot to do, and people like you and your organization have been doing a lot too. How do you think that we can all unite to ensure that we achieve SDGs that are related to persons with disabilities? There are a lot of them. Can you tell us how you, organizations like you, and the general society can help achieve these sustainable development goals?
Okay, thank you very much. I think there are very quite in numerous ways we can achieve this, at least to a very great height, right? We have set the pace. I think I'll first of all say thank you or thanks to Ignite Startups and the African Center for Leadership Strategy and Development for taking this course at this time, this very critical one. So this is just one of the ways, right? We can awaken general awareness. We started the social campaign for persons with disabilities, and this is just one of the ways. And then also we also look at the government wise. We took a lot of public opinions, and some persons said create a ministry for them, others said they don't need a ministry and all of that. So like what the former guest spoke about, right, looking at the act of 2018 by the former president, I think we are looking at the implementation, right? Setting up agencies. I am of the opinion that we don't actually need a ministry for them, because that's on its own is a marginalization of them in the society. So we are saying that there could be agencies, right, looking at the implementation. The acts, they are there. We talk about the right to education, healthcare, and public facilities. We talk about their what do we call it now, employment, right, where the act says that all organizations, companies per se, are to reserve 5% of their employment or their employment opening to persons with disabilities. And it goes all and on, and looking at the violation of those acts, right? I think, and then the violation says that those who violate those acts, the penalty, those who violate those acts to penalize individuals 100,000 or 6 years imprisonment, or 1 million naira for organizations who violate this right. So these are, I think the government have tried, but going further, right, we are looking at the monitoring agencies that could monitor the implementation and the adherence of the public and organizations to this. And also we say charity begins at home, so it starts with you and I, what we are doing now, which we are still going to talk about later, the purpose of this campaign we are having. And then so it starts with you, it starts with me. So programs like this will help to awaken national conscience, and then just a little hand of help in our neighborhoods. And then those who have organizations, companies, should also look at incorporating these persons, right? Educational system, looking at incorporating the needs of these persons, having them in mind, and then in our structures, all those things there. I think those are just little measures we can put in place to accommodate them in the society.
All right. Advocates for persons' rights and the empowerment of persons with disabilities have always advised the society against having pity and marginalizing against them. They believe that these people, although they may appear they are disabled, but they have abilities. They are normal people like all of us, and they can do a lot of things. You are, encounter and in the process of, doing one or two things with them, don't you see that they have innate abilities that society and most people have failed to discover? And how can we help them to be the best of what they aspire to be, to utilize those talents?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. I think you just boil down to the minds about persons with disabilities. Yes, they have a lot of potentials, innate abilities in them. Some of the minds we have about persons with disabilities is we feel like they are in pains, right? So we have this kind of empathy or pity for them, and somehow our empathy drives us to limit them, right? So I think that's one might we must try as much as possible to abolish. That first, persons with disabilities, they are human beings, right? So sometimes not all the time, sometimes they feel pain too, as every other humans also feel pain. So in every ability, they say in every disability, they said there is an ability. So what we can do, what I think we can do, we must see them as people who have a lot of potentials in them. They are normal human beings, just that they have little challenge or the other, which even other individuals do. And there's a saying that the worst disability is disability of the mind. Between some of them, they are very much sound. Sorry, I'm not trying to make canal comparison, but they are quite very sound compared to other persons. Of course, you just saw our first guest, how eloquent he sounded and all of that. So you see, they are full of potentials, and we must give them the chance, to take their place in the society, and then accommodate them, at every opportunity we have. They can actually do a lot.
All right.
Thank you very
time
much.
may be a challenge for us. That's all we have on the table for this. But let's quickly go to the campaign. I understand that you have something you're focusing on this particular event. So what are you doing for people with disability? What is your campaign all about now?
Okay. Thank you very much. To answer that question, let me reiterate that I am from Ignite Startups and the African Center for Leadership Strategy and Development here in Benin. So the campaign we are currently having is a social campaign for persons with disabilities. It all came from an inspiration. So the guest you just have is a student of that leadership institution. It's a leadership institution that trains individuals who are aspiring leaders, business owners, and also who have great interest in governance. So we have set the pace, of accommodating them. So it's not an institution that marginalized. Now, coming to your question, he has shared some of his challenges with us, which I think he also spoke with you, and by that to the general public. And they say charity begins at home. Looking at this campaign we are having, we have someone who is just right in our bosom, and we think it's very appropriate we spread some love to him, and then that is what we are doing. So looking at the campaign, we have been having a series of campaign for the past 12 or 13 days, if I'm not mistaken, right? So, and this is where we are. So we We write quotes. We went out to the streets of Benin City to take public opinions and then advocacy for persons with disabilities. So this is how the campaign has been going on. And then we are here today to wrap it up. As with today being the International Day of Persons with Disabilities. And of course, Ambrose has shared his challenge with us, and we are championing that cause to make sure that he goes to
school for his master's degree.
So I think that is the focal point of this campaign, why we reach out to others, why we advocate for persons with disabilities. We talk to the government, we talk to individuals, we sent out letters as a matter of fact, and we've been getting a lot of support from well-meaning individuals in the society.
Thank you, Mr. Oyoma Ojadano, for your intervention on today's edition of Frontline. And to you, our viewer, you have heard from both the visually impaired person and an advocate and someone that supports any cause that has to do with people with disabilities. We urge you that next time you meet persons with disabilities, don't just show empathy or pity on them. Support them. Help them to access public hallways, establishments, and include them. Give them room to showcase their talents because they are gifted and they are normal people like me and you. Also, don't discriminate against them. So this is where we wrap it up on today's edition of Frontline, and we hope to see you again the same time next week for another interesting topic on Frontline. Bye bye.